In this week's parasha, Pasha Bahaloischa, the pasuk says, "Dabala Aaron, Marta Ela, Bahaloischa Saneiros, El Mulpnei Amenoiro, Yair Shavas Saneiros." Rashi explains, "Lama Nisucha Parshas Hamenoiro, the Parshas Hanesim." Why did the Torah put the parsha of the Menorah next to the parsha of the Nesim? V'fi Kishara Aaron Chanukas Hanesim, when Aaron saw all the Nesim bringing karbanis by the Chanukas Hamishkan, Cholsha Oz Daitoi. He felt very bad that he was not included in this Chanukah. Loihu v'loi shifta, not he and not his shevet. Omer lai Kodesh Baruch Hu, Kodesh Baruch Hu told him, Chayecha shalcha gedolim mishalahem. Don't worry, your is greater than theirs. Sha'atam madlik u'meitiv esaneres, because you are madlik and take care of the neiros. Rashi is saying that this pasuk is talking about the Hadlakas HaNeiros in the Mishkan. The Ramban over here, of an art right here on this pasuk, disagrees with Rashi, and he has a few questions, and because of that he has another mahalach. First of all, he says, why was not Aaron having Nechama from the Ketairis, from the Karbanis, where only he was allowed to do that, and by the Avodah Yom Kippurim, which was exclusively only for the Kohen Gadol? Why would he not have a nechama from that? And secondly, why Bechlal did he have a Chalishas Hadas, the fact that he was not included in the Chanukah of the Mishkan? He also brought many karbonas during those 7 days, more than the other Nesiim. And if you're going to tell me, says the Ramban, his was a chiyuv, and therefore maybe it wasn't such a great mitzvah as Klal Yisrael, who did it as an adava, says the Ramban, that Lokas Neiros also was not an adava. Aaron had to do it. So that was also a chiyuv. So why would that be in the chama? Therefore the Ramban says a different pshat. He says like this. He says, Al Inha Goda Azul Lidraish Remez Min HaParsha Al Chanocha Shal Neiros Shal Haisa B'Bayesheni the Aaron Ovanov. It's talking about the Chanukah and the Bayesheni through Aaron and Ovanov, which means B'tzoini Loimar Chashmonoi Kohen Gadol Ubanov. Aaron's descendants, the Chashmonoim, the Kohanim, and in that time. The Ramban does not want to learn like Rashi, and therefore he says this pshat. The question is, even after the Ramban, what exactly is the reason that he had a nechama through this lighting that came many generations later through his descendants, the Chashmonoi? If you look at the Gemara in Shabbos and Daf Chavkim Amud Beis, Omer Rav Huna, Hergel Bener Havayin Leibonim Talmidei Chachamim. Dichsiv Kiner Mitzvah B'Torah Or. Aydei Ner Mitzvah the Shabbos v'Chanukah Bo Or HaTorah. Rashi learns that Ner Mitzvah Torah Or, through the Hadlaka of Shabbos and Chanukah, that's why there's a schus for your children to become Talmidei Chachamim, because the Or HaTorah comes through these Hadlakas. The Rosh and the Meiri learn a little differently than Rashi, that it's only going on the Ner of Chanukah and not Shabbos. But the same pshat, that because of that Ner, you zoicha the Talmidei Chachamim, that your children will be Talmidei Chachamim. The Maral says that just like Olam Hazeh is Doimel L'Ner in the way that when you do a mitzvah, there's a hefsek eventually. So too by mitzvahs, there's a hefsek. Mashenken by Torah, it's not like that. Torah is similar to Or. Just like Or is forever, so too Torah is everlasting. Chanukah was the time when the Yavanim wanted to destroy us and everything we stood for, which is Torah and Chochmas HaTorah and Yadus. The Torah was reignited at that time through the Chashmonoim forever. That when they were able to light the menorah again in the Beis HaMikdash, and they were able to be victorious in the war against the Yavanim, they reignited the whole Inyan of Torah and Yadus and Klal Yisrael and tore out any psulim and shemets that the Yavanim had put into us. And the Ner of Chanukah is the Doridoris. It never ends. We constantly light this every year, and it's not just a zikaron for what we had, but it's a inyan that we constantly reigniting the Or HaTorah in every generation through the Ner Chanukah. And that's why the Ramban learns that the schus that Aaron had through later Dairas, that was his nechama of knowing that his descendants were going to be the ones that reignite and bring back Torah to Klal Yisrael, l'Dairi Dairas. So he didn't want to learn like Rashi because it was only then, during the time of the Beis HaMikdash, that was there that halakha. Mashenkein, Ner Chanukah is a constant reigniting of Torah l'Dairi Dairas. So how do we understand Rashi? So Rav Yosef Tzvi Misalant in the Sefer Ber Yosef explains that Rashi learned that it's going on the Ner of the Mishkan because the pasuk is talking about the Ners of the Mishkan, and the Ramban's kashas aren't shver because we're not talking about the physical lighting of the menorah. We're not talking about the physical bringing of the karbanos. We're talking about the hashpah, the impact in the ruchnius that the karbanos bring to Klal Yisrael, and the impact of ruchnius that the hadlakas neiros bring to Klal Yisrael. And that says the Ber Yosef is why Rashi was able to learn it's going on the Mishkan, because the Gemara in Tainis, Chav Zayin, the Gemara Psachim in Mem Beis say that when it comes to the karbanos, if you look over there, even though there was a hashbah on Klal Yisrael through the karbanos, a great hashbah, but it was only Kol Zman the Beis HaMikdash was Kayim, Ayin Sham. Mashenkein, when it comes to the neiros, the Gemara says, "Arosa sheyachim yadrim, simanech menorah bedarim." That the menorah is the symbolism of Torah, and that is forever. The hashpah of Torah, even though the physical lighting may have ended during the time of the Beis HaMikdash, but the impact of the Or HaTorah that it had never ended. Why? Because he says that the chachma of Torah that went through the chacham at that time encompassed all the chachma that we ever get and will have Doris. So Mele, it started then and it encompassed everything. So all that Torah that we had then, all the chachma is just pouring forth from then, that hashpah. By shaking the hashpah, the karbanas ended after the Korban Habayis. That's why Rashi learned it's still going on the Neiros HaMishkan. Well, it's very good Rashi right now. Rashi doesn't have to learn like a Ramban. And Ramban obviously held that the hashpah of the Neiros was only over there Lizman, Mashenk the Ner Chanukah. But the end result we see from this whole shmooze is that the whole inyan of the menorah and lighting the menorah and lighting their Chanukah and lighting their Shabbos, according to Rashi and other Rishonim in their Chanukah, is that the Ner is what creates Torah. Through that Ner, and when we have Ner HaTorah, and we're careful with that Ner of Or HaTorah, then we have children to make Chacham because we appreciate Torah to the point that Kadosh Baruch Hu sees how dear it is to us. The Mela, He gives us that bracha that our children also are to make Chachamim a guten Shabbos.